Okay, so welcome to Summum. I know people come here just because it's kind of a strangeness in Salt Lake City, a pyramid in Salt Lake City, and mummification. Oh my God, how can that be in Salt Lake City? Anyway, on Wednesdays when we have new people, we just kind of do a brief introduction to Summum, how we got started. Have any of you looked at our website at all? Sorta. Okay, yeah. And just give you a little information about Summum and the principles that it's founded upon. On other nights, when we don't have new people, we like to read from other philosophy books, other masters' works, sort of comparative religion type thing, because it's interesting to find out that all religions are based on the same principles. They are just talked about in different ways by the different masters that presented them to the people that they were talking to. And so it's interesting to find them and to hear them talked about in a little bit different way than in the Summum book. So, and it's a way of kind of broadening the understanding of the principles and that sort of thing. So, so what we do is we begin class by ringing the bowl and do a short, brief, silent meditation. And then when class is done, I'll do the same thing, ring the bowl. So we'll start by doing that. I'm Sue, by the way.
Bernie.
Zachary.
Gary.
Christy.
Brendan. Ron.
Michelle.
Right. Okay. So, summum, which is a term that just means sum total of all. That's what we use for, I suppose, if you want to call it God, you could call it God. But summum is the term that the Summa individuals that visited Corky gave to this place. It was founded in 1975 by Summum Bonum Amun Ra. This is Corky. He is in the mummiform here. He passed away in 2008, and he wanted to be mummified, so that's what we did. All of these cats are actually mummies. They have mummies within them. The dogs, any of the animals you see here, most of them, there's a few that are just statues, but all of these have been pets of ours, and when they passed away, we mummified them. Or they were usually cats that came around here. We love cats, and so we would capture them, and then we would have them fixed and shots, they were given shots. And then we would bring them back here to the place they knew, and they would just hang out with us. And they became our friends. And so when they passed away, we mummified them as well. So Summum in 1975 was founded, like I said, by Summum Bonum Amun Ra, or Corky. Summum is actually a 501c3. We are considered a church, but we don't function like a church. We do not do dogma or have rules. We figure the keystone of Summum are the principles and the meditation. And if you understand the principles and you do the meditation, you will find that you understand how creation works, how God came to be, how to be kind to your neighbors, right? Okay? And that's usually what most churches do. They teach you to be good people, hopefully, right? I mean, that's the basic philosophies of most religions. But Summum does not tell you you should do this, you shouldn't do this, because we feel like if you understand the principles, you'll understand how to guide your lives. So you don't need somebody, looking over your shoulder, telling you what to do, how to do it, how to behave, those sorts of things. So that's kind of how Summum functions. But Corky had an experience in 1985 with what he called extracelestial beings. He called them the Summa individuals. That's what they called themselves, Summa individuals. And they are individuals that actually function throughout the eternities, all the universes, not just our small one, but all of them, all. They help people, they drop a little catalyst on people to help them evolve or progress in their spirituality. And basically, that's what Summum is. It is a school, basically, to help you on your spiritual journey. And that's usually what most religions do. They help you learn to move inside yourselves and to discover that part of you that is an eternal part of you, not changing like this outside world that we live in. So these Summa individuals instructed Corky, or reminded him of the job he volunteered for, which was that he was to build this pyramid, that he was to begin the process of modern mummification, because there are people ready to move on in their spiritual journey. He also was tasked with reintroducing the principles in their pure form, because they'd become degenerated over time. He was also tasked with teaching meditation. Now in 1975, like I always say in these classes, in 75, you guys, some of you are too young to remember 75, but in 75, meditation was a bad word. My parents hated the fact that I learned meditation. And, but they instructed Corky to teach meditation. They also told him to create the nectars of publication, which are alcoholic. They have alcohol. And you take a small amount of the nectar before you meditate. We create them here in the pyramid. We meditate upon them and create the nectars here within the pyramid. And so that's what he started. He began doing that. I first heard him up at the University of Utah. He was giving lectures up there. And it was a lot of people showed up because they were curious about this person who had had this encounter. We would pass out these cards at movie theaters, like First Encounters. Do you remember First Encounters of the, third kind? Of the first encounters of the, I can't remember. Anyway, whatever it was. And we would put these little cards on the windshields. That's how Bernie found out about us. Saying, come to a class, this person has had an encounter with beings, from a different realm or what, I can't remember what the card said, but anyway. So we had several people that were coming to the classes because they were curious. Let's hear what this guy has to say, right? Is he some kook? Which Bernie found out he was not. He had some very interesting things to say. I was a little skeptical, I must say, because he talked about mummification. When he talked about the Summa individuals, my mind went to aliens, aliens. And I thought, come on, you know. But he did say some things that kind of piqued my interest. So I decided to look a little further. I had learned transcendental meditation when I was in college. And when I learned TM, it was the first time I felt like something had touched me. Like I had never been touched before. I mean, I was raised in a traditional church. I'm from the Midwest, and I'm a transplant to Utah. But, you know, I just, you know, was into Christianity, I thought. But when I went away to school, I went to church not long after I got there, and I sat there and I thought, I don't feel a thing. And I didn't go back because I felt like it didn't seem like it touched me at all, like it meant anything to me. But when I learned the meditation, that was the first time I felt like there was something more to me than this thing that I'm walking around in, right? Okay? And most of us spend our lives, me included, we all are included in this, with our attention. And attention is an interesting word because attention is just where your attention is where you are when you think about that, right? If you have your attention on something and you're really focused with your attention, you are there. That's where you're at. Like when I'm swimming, the only thing I'm focused on just swimming, and it's like, wow, you know, you're just there, and it feels great to just move. But, you know, most of us spend our lives with our attention focused outwardly on everything that we think we need, wishes, wants, desires. We live in the past or the future, but never in the present. And we're always hoping for that next carrot that's going to make us happy. And then once we get it, it's like, oh, okay, well, now what? What's next? I mean, I was a music major, and I would prepare and work and practice and everything for the recital, you know. And then once it was done, it was like, what a letdown. It was like, oh, now what? Now I got to go on to the next one. Right? Oh, what's the next thing I got to work on, right? And so you're always out there with your attention, thinking that you're going to find happiness there. When in reality, maybe if you turned your attention inwardly to that part of you that is a part of creation and something that is ever enduring, non-changing, there. It's going to be with you in this lifetime and from whatever lifetimes you go to. That part of you is consistently going to move with you. And this body, as we all know, is going to drop. We're going to lose this vehicle. And we have chosen this body because it was the thing we decided would give us the most experience, the best way to learn the lessons that we felt we needed to learn. So we chose this body, we chose the family, we chose where we were going to be. We have done it all. We chose this life, this movie you happen to be in. And it is a movie. Didn't Shakespeare say, or somebody said, you know, life is like a play, and we are all actors on the stage of life? Right? I mean, and that's what we are. We're actors. And then you get written out of the play. Right? Yeah, you do eventually get written out. Unfortunately, I'm sorry to tell you, but you will all die. Sorry. If you haven't realized that, it's time to hear it. Right? I mean, that's a reality of life. Life and death. The same thing. Same coin, just different sides. So Summum is just a way, they are tools. The principles are tools. So is the meditation to help you navigate through life, through this crazy world we live in right now, and to hopefully give you a little bit of peace. And that's the thing that I found with the meditation is that I have more peace with it. It's not that I don't get upset. I still have all of that. But I find that I am a little bit more at peace because of that practice that I do. So what we will do tonight is we will just go through the principles a little bit. Ron, Bernie, and myself will give a little bit of our experience with the principles. And these are our perspectives on what we have learned ourselves. We don't ask you to believe anything we say here. Corky always said, don't believe a word I say, because it's just hearsay. Before you ever have a knowledge of anything, you have to go through the systematic law of learning where you question something. You take activity within that questioning, and then from there you have an understanding of what it is you were looking at and trying to figure out for yourself. And so, that's all we ask, is that you just consider what we have to say and what the principles have to say, and that they might be useful in your lives. And if it's just bullshit to you, fine. We don't care. That's fine. That's neither here nor there. It's up to you, because it's about you. It's not about us. It's not about this place. It's not about anything at all except you. You are the person who needs to know who you are. Nobody else needs to understand that but you. Okay? So we will go through the principles. There are 7, and they emanate from the grand principle of creation, which states, nothing and possibility come in and out of bond an infinite number of times in a finite moment. And that creates a big bang, infinite big bangs, if you will, that take place across all the universes that are, who knows, so vast, we don't even know. But that sets up an enormous vibration, and that is what has created everything. And the 7 principles, if you look at them, they will give you an understanding of that grand principle, because the grand principle is not understood intellectually. It is a subjective understanding, and you can't think your way into it. It's something you feel, and if you read it enough, you will, and relax with it, you will have an understanding of what that is. A little bit of an understanding, let's just say that. And so the first principle, the principles, I'll state them, are psychokinesis, correspondence, vibration, opposition, rhythm, cause and effect, and gender. And those principles we will talk about tonight. So what I usually will do is I will read the little aphorism that comes before the explanation, and then whoever is talking about it will just kind of go off on their thing, okay? So the first one, psychokinesis. Summum is mind. The universe is a mental creation, summum. And it also states that mind, as well as metal and elements, may be altered psychokinetically from state to state, degree to degree, proportion to proportion, condition to condition, point to point, vibration to vibration. Psychokinesis is mental mastery, summum. Ron? That take you by surprise?
Yeah, psychokinesis, it's really interesting. I mean, you guys do all of this stuff anyway, because you'll see this is almost basic science. And a lot of times philosophy gets put on it and it gets segued into different things. But if you're ever going to build something or do something or write something, where does it first start? Where does it start? The very beginning.
In the mind?
In your mind, right. You think about it. Now let's look at the mind. It's just this big bowl of jelly up there, full of electrical, chemicals that are just happening. And yet you can create a whole universe, right? Stories, people. You can do all kinds of things and you're not taking anything outside. It's all happening in here. And when Corky was asking about how that all happened, you know, how creation happened, because some individuals, they are mortal. They live a long time, and they work the pathways, but they would be very disappointed in us if we worship them or worship mummies, because that's kind of silly. Anyway, they simply said it's the same type of thing. When you want to create something, you have a thought. And you kind of put it together in your head, and then what happens? You take activity and you create it, right? And that's basically how creation works. It is a consciousness, obviously, it's far superior to us, that allows for, it's like a breath of energy, and it just flows. And you can just get upon it, and you can just do all the things you want to do in life, right? It's just an energy that goes out there. And creation is really interesting when you look at psychokinesis, because that's how you adjust your own personal life, right? You go along in life and you might have a bad habit, or as Corky used to say, a propensity, because people don't have bad habits, right? So they have a propensity to do something. And so by using your own mind, we all do this, right? We decide path we're going down, or the thoughts we're having, or whatever is going on is not very conducive to us, our well-being, and we make a change, right? And we use our own mental capacity to do that. And psychokinetically, creation just puts a force out here for us to sort of dance on. You know, it's just flowing, you know. I don't know if you're familiar with Spinoza. Albert Einstein said, "Do you believe in God?" And he says, "I believe in Spinoza's God." And Spinoza simply was an old Jew back in, 1600s or something. You guys communicated for his thoughts, but his idea of God wasn't something external from you, but it was an energy that flowed through the universe. It flows through you, it flows to the earth, it flows to the planets. I mean, there's even movies, right? Star Wars and the Force. You know? It's another unique idea. Anyway, that's what I said.
Okay. The next one, correspondence. As above, so below. As below, so above. Summum. Yes, you.
So, I mean, you guys are probably familiar with the Big Bang, right? What cosmologists say is the beginning of the universe. So everything comes out of that Big Bang. And because of that, everything is related. The fundamental underlying laws, whatever they may be, are at work everywhere. And they are responsible for everything. And so everything has a similarity to it. And we see the similarity in our everyday lives. We talk, we make comparisons of things. We use analogies, metaphors. That's because everything is related. Everything has the same characteristics. And you can use correspondence to understand what you don't know by looking at something that you do know. Sue mentioned death. We can use correspondence to examine death and understand it more so that it's not such a mystery. For example, everybody's gone on a trip before, right? When you went on your trip, did you make arrangements? Did you figure out your itinerary, how you were going to travel and everything, where you were going to go? You did all these things so that you could get to where you were going, so that you can enjoy being there, and you made all these plans for that to happen. When you die, it's going to be a journey. You're going to be making a journey. And like any other journey, you can plan and prepare for it so that you are not caught off guard. You've probably read the stories, seen the videos of people who've had near-death experiences or pronounced clinically dead and then revived, right? They talk about seeing their body from a different vantage point. That's what's going to happen. Your consciousness, your awareness, the enduring part that Sue talked about is going to remain intact. But your body is not going to be working anymore. And then you're going to be seeing your body from a different point, and you're going to find yourself in these circumstances, and you're going to go, what's going on here? And through mummification, in the practice, you do what's called prepare a spiritual will when you are alive, where the spiritual will is then read to you upon your passing. This is something that you write, that you feel will help you make your journey. It's like working out your itinerary, right? And so this death is really just a transition, and so it can be a guided transition rather than being thrown into circumstances that you have no idea what's going on and how you're going to deal with it and how you're going to get through this. Can be a guided thing. And so this is just an example of correspondence. We can use correspondence to understand something we don't know, but we use correspondence in all sorts of things. Just think about it. How many times you've had a conversation with a friend or somebody and you say it's like this, or they say it's like that, right? You're comparing things all the time because everything's related. So correspondence can be really a really powerful tool to have a better understanding of life and your situation in it. So anyway, a little bit about correspondence.
The next one is the principle of vibration. Nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates, summum. Can you think of anything that doesn't vibrate? You may not see it, but everything is vibrating. It's a natural effect of the grand principle. Nothing impossibility coming in and out of bond sets up a great vibrational field. And we are a part of that. And we are bombarded daily with vibrations. Whether you feel them or not, they are there. I mean, you have friends, you have work people that you work with, you have the weather, you have everything out there that affects you by vibration. But sometimes we don't think much about that. We don't realize that we are being affected by all of these vibrations. And how you handle those vibrations is up to you. Because either you can participate in a vibration, let's say you step into a room and a party's going on, and you're not too sure about the way it feels. And that's just a vibration that's coming at you. And you're sensing that vibration. And either you can decide to participate in it and just get caught up in that, or you can step back and you can decide for yourself whether or not you wish to. Because sometimes we just go in for it. You know, we don't even think about it. And that's fine, you know, but sometimes it's a good idea to maybe look at it and say, does this feel right to me? Do I want to participate in this? Corky could change the vibration of a room. He could lift it up. He had that kind of control over vibration. And it is a powerful tool if you know how to use it. And sense it. And some people, I don't know, you know, it seems to me like some people are far more sensitive to vibration than others, wouldn't you say? It seems like to me sometimes, you know. I mean, the reason you connect with friends is because you're vibrating at a similar rate, you know. You feel comfortable with that person because your vibrations happen to be similar, okay? And so vibration is an important tool you can use to guide your lives and to decide whether or not you wish to be in a place, you know, that maybe you don't feel that comfortable in. Because bottom line is we all want to be comfortable and at peace with ourselves, right? That's our goal in life usually, is to be comfortable and to be at peace. And not that that doesn't happen, but you can change the vibration if you wish, if you have the amount, if you have the right ability. And it doesn't happen overnight. It's something that you do. It's a practice that you do. But it's possible to change your vibration and other people's vibration. But it takes practice and it takes some work. And so vibration is important. And to feel the vibrations in a room, like this room vibrates at a certain rate. It feels different than, let's say, an office building. And a cathedral feels different than the mall because they vibrate differently. The structure of the room, the way that it is built, and how it's put together causes that vibration to happen. That affects you. Music is a vibration. My students find that out all the time. You know, and the vibration can be happy and it can be sad. It can be lively, it can be slow. Paintings have a vibration. You get a certain feeling about something that have been painted. Why do you think the great masters have lasted so long? Right? I mean, yeah, it's because they understood it. Maybe they didn't know it mentally, but they just knew it within themselves. And so they used that to create their creations. And so at the end of the chapter of vibration, it states that those who understand the principle of vibration hold a scepter of power. And it is powerful if you understand vibration. The next one's principle of opposition. Everything is dual. Everything has an opposing point. Everything has its pair of opposites. Like and unlike are the same. Opposites are identical in nature but different in degree. Extremes bond. All truths are but partial truths. All paradoxes may be reconciled. Summum. And then rhythm. Everything flows out and in. Everything has its season. All things rise and fall. The pendulum swing expresses itself in everything. The measure of the swing to the right is the measure of the swing to the left. Rhythm compensates. Summum. Ron.
Okay. Opposition. Well, obviously there's opposites in everything. There's hot, cold, up, down, right? Left, right. Everything has an opposing point. And so love and hate would be the same thing, right? It's on the same spectrum. And so you have an ability to kind of float where you want to be. You know, if you have somebody that you like a lot and then you can all of a sudden dislike them. Or you can bring it into the neutral spot. And so there's opposition in all things. And so some days we get up and the day is great, right? And we go along and everything's good. And then all of a sudden it's bad. Something happens, right? And it's complicated. And so you have a difficulty put before you, you know. It's a little push-up. You put this before you in your last life just so that you can... anybody have any type of a deja vu? Anybody have a deja vu? There you go. Next time you do, just say hi. You know, you're just passing by. And so, I mean, it makes sense, you know. You have a little experience in life, like you play a video game and you go down there, and you have all of these oppositions going on and different pathways to take, right, as you go through life. And then as you're playing the game and you play it this way and you play it that way and you learn. You get knocked out of the game, you come back, right? I mean, we're getting more and more complicated with our stuff. We're almost getting human, as if this hasn't happened in evolution already. At any rate, everything's going to be always going between these parts, no matter what you do. That's just the natural flow of things. It's an energy, it's vibration. You know, it's a big thing. It's rhythm. It's going from one place to another. If you have a vibration, it's going to have a particular rhythm to it, and rhythm has a vibration. It is a vibration. And so, McCorkey used to say, a lot of times we'll go through life and we'll do something and we'll break something or it'll go wrong, right? And he used to say, the first thing we do is we jump on the poor me train. We reach back in our history and go, this always happens to me. This does this, right? We bring all of this stuff and we start looking at all this, and we can create great turmoil within ourselves and enjoy that great turmoil if we'd like. But the reality is that those things are going to happen because life happens, shit happens. And I have a difficult time myself letting it go, but it's very possible when you kind of understand that the fact that that is gone and you've got a new problem and you can just simply address it. And what's really interesting is you relax when stuff happens like that. You get a real clear understanding that got you into this position. You know what I'm saying? Whether you're working on something, you're in a relationship, regardless of what it is, when it goes wrong, you can get excited, pile all this stuff on, and then have to deal with it, or you can relax. Right? Because that rhythm is going to happen. It's going to have good days, it's going to have bad days, difficult days, easy days. They're all fun days, right? Life is fun. You should enjoy it. All the religions talk about it. Sometimes they put so many things on top of it with do's, wants, and desires, and presses you down on all these things, when the reality is so simple to enjoy life, right? Enjoy life. It's easy if you want it easy. It's terrible if you want it that way. So you can hang on to it. Yeah, that's all I gotta say. Sorry.
Next one, cause and effect. Every cause has its effect. Every effect has its cause. Everything happens according to law. Chance is just a name for law not recognized. There are many fields of causation, but nothing escapes the law of destiny. Summum.
So, I mean, I'm sure you've heard the term before, cause and effect. There really are no accidents in life. If you look at, you know, we'll use the term accident to describe a lot of things, but if you look at an accident, you can see all these factors that played a part in this accident occurring. You know, let's say, for example, a car accident. My sister got rear-ended on the freeway. Well, you can, you know, we call it an accident. Well, you can take a look at all the things that were going on. It was in the night, it was dark, it was raining, the roads were slick, someone was speeding, all, you know, and all these things factored into causing this accident. And you can take it further and look at, why was this person speeding? Why was it raining? You know, what brought about the weather patterns? There are all these factors that always are at play that cause things to be the way they are. It's like the dominoes. We see those elaborate domino setups, you know, and they knock the domino over and boom, 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 boom. That's life, cause and effect. It's happening all the time. What's interesting too is that, you know, sometimes, like for example, I accidentally break something. A lot of times when we have these accidents, it's really interesting where our attention is. Like Sue mentioned, the attention. We had an accident. Why? Because our attention was distracted. We were drawn over to here when we should have had our attention over there, right? And an accident occurred. So cause and effect is always taking place. And as you start paying attention to cause and effect, you start paying attention to your own actions and what you do, because there are consequences. Ron talked about rhythm. Well, what happens if by your action you push the pendulum in one direction? What is it going to do? It's going to swing back the other way. how many times did we do something when we were young and, you know, we used to party a lot, right? Heavy duty parties, and we paid for it the next day. And when we were young, we put up with paying for it, right? But you get a little older and you're going, you know, I've kind of outgrown that. I don't want to do that to myself anymore, right? You start paying attention to how you behave and the things that you do in life. Or at work, you know, we found that we did something this way. Oh, that didn't work out the way I wanted to. I need to not do that again, right? So you start paying attention to cause and effect, and then you have a better understanding on why life is the way it is, why it happened to me, right? And you can also use cause and effect in your own spiritual development to the extent that when you practice meditation and you turn your attention inward and you turn your attention towards the indwelling spirit that is inside of you, it has an effect. And all of a sudden you're seeing things that you couldn't see before. I'll use a little correspondence. You've been on hikes before, right? At the bottom of the trail, you're limited to what you can see. But as you climb up the trail, as you climb up the mountain, you turn around and all of a sudden you have this panorama and you can see things that you could not see when you were at the bottom. And the higher you rise, you can see more. And you go, oh, I didn't know that was over there. Now I can see that, or you can see all these things. It's an example of correspondence. It's an example of what can happen with cause and effect and how you can leverage it to make it easier to go through life. Anyway, do you need to go?
Oh, yeah.
Let me, I gotta unlock the gate, so let me.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks, Michelle. We have to lock the gate, unfortunately. We've had people try to raise the door of the pyramid when we were having classes. Yeah. So we decided it might be a good idea. I mean, people are curious, we know that, but, you know,
And kids come in and we've got that big pond back there.
Yeah,
So we need to make
yeah.
sure, that's why we have the gates anyway, so. if you-
okay, the last one, gender. Gender is in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. Gender manifests on all levels, summum. Most of the time when we think about gender, what do you think about? Male, female? Yeah, okay. But that is a physical expression of gender. It actually functions on higher levels as well, mentally and spiritually. Mentally, like Ron was talking about in psychokinesis, you know, the masculine part of our brain projects information into the womb or the feminine aspects, and it accepts that projection, I guess you could say, and then starts to create something. But it takes both in order for creation to happen. You have to have both male and female, masculine and feminine, in order for creation to start. That's how creation is, the Big Bang, if you will. The masculine energy of creation projects itself into the womb or the feminine aspect, and that is when everything is created, because of those two things coming together to create something new. And that's basically what gender is about. I mean, we're having a conversation, well, not really a conversation, but I'm talking to you, so right now I'm projecting my thoughts to you. So I'm the masculine energy or aspect. You are taking it into your brain. You are the feminine aspect of it. And then you might have a conversation with someone and you project something to them. And they hear it, take it in, whir it around in their brain, and then maybe they have another. I mean, you know, it kind of goes back and forth that way. But anything you look at, I mean, if I look at a piece of music, that music is projecting something into my brain. And then it makes me tickle the keys in a certain way, right? Okay? Same thing with whenever you read something, if you read a book, those words, they are creating an image in your mind, you know? Everybody's going to have a different image, perhaps, from those words because of everybody's perspective. And all perspectives are correct, by the way. Nobody's is better than anybody else's. And so, excuse me, that is the principle behind gender. And it doesn't make any difference whether you have a masculine or a feminine body. You have both inside of you. You were made from a male and a female, so how could you not have both of those aspects within you? And so gender is an interesting aspect to keep in mind. Whenever you have created anything, both of those have been at play in some point, at some point in that creative process. And one thing I wanted to say, we are not trying to convert anyone here. We do not feel that we are the only way, because we believe, someone feels that all philosophies are correct for those that are in them. Why would you be in them if you didn't feel like you belonged there or you wanted to be there, right? Or that you thought you could learn something from them. Doesn't mean you can't change them to a different philosophy or whatever. But you are comfortable in whatever it is that you are doing. And so Summum feels that all paths are correct and that you learn things from those paths to help you along in your journey through life. And so just so you remember that, we aren't trying to make you believe anything, because like I said, belief is hearsay unless you've had an experience. So that's it. Any questions? Not that we'll be able to answer them, but we'll just ask. Yeah.
Where do some of the symbols, where do the symbols come from?
Which symbols?
Well, you've got the, what I would call here is the planet of the crossing or the flying disc. That's in Sumerian.
Where is that? Are you where are you? This thing?
Just
Yeah.
solar disk.
Yeah, that just is a representation of the sun. We had a person, an artist, who was part of our classes for a while. He was an artist, and he drew that for Summum and gifted it to us.
Very interesting.
Well, the sun is also a very creative force, right?
Yeah, it's the
If it
masculine
weren't for
energy.
the sun, we wouldn't be alive. It brings life to the planet. And so, and cultures throughout history have recognized that divineness of the sun, right? So
Yeah.
they've used it in there.
A lot of it's similar to the Sumerian culture.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Like I said, all religions are the same. They just get hung up in all the, verbiage and dogma and whatever, what have you.
Right.
You know, I think at the very core, when they first began, they probably were more into the plain and simple statement of a philosophy or of a principle, because they've all been founded on that same thing.
Where does the mummification take place?
Here,
You
Well-
actually do that yourselves?
Ron and Bernie are funeral directors, licensed funeral directors. And so, they do the mummification. We do it in the bottling building in there, actually. And then the mummy is, when they are done, doing what they need to do, they bring the body in here in a vat. and it is placed in the vat, and we read the spiritual will for what depends upon, 77 days or more, So, yeah.
What a process.
Yeah, it
What about
is.
the animals?
Same. They come in here.
Can anyone have an animal mummified?
Pardon me?
Can anyone have an animal mummified?
Oh, yeah.
here?
We've had a lot of people from out, did we have any out of the country? No. They've all,
Well,
Canada?
yeah, well, they're from Germany, but they were in the US.
right. But we've had dogs and cats by other people who have wanted their pets mummified, yes. Yeah. Okay, we'll close. I'll just ring the bowl and brief meditation. Now, we do have a pamphlet of the first encounter that Cork had. We'll give that to you, and little card that has some of our websites if you are interested in hearing some of the lectures Cork gave or reading some of the transcripts, that sort of thing. Okay. We're not trying to push it down your throats, though. Heaven forbid. Thank you all for coming. It's been nice to have you here. Like I always say, go home, go home. Right, Tracy Ullman, go home. No, I don't. Sorry. I don't have perfect pitch, so I don't.
What?
I guess I could look it up, but I didn't notice when I did the bowl. We just like the sound of